All right, it's still good morning, Anambra, and we're glad to have you here yet. My name is still Nonye, and I have my colleague in the studio.
I'm still very much here, of course.
All right, this segment we'll be looking at repositioning civil service for better service delivery. That's the focus for now, and you will agree with me that back then, civil service, it's one thing that so many people look up to becoming, going by the way they behave, the way they dress, how cultured they are, and so many things, so many benefits from civil service. But your guess could be as good as mine, knowing that today, I don't know what has become of the civil service. And so we brought up this issue to see what could be done to reposition this sector for better performance. We have a guest in the studio to help us look at this, and he is none other than Professor Ifeanyi Ezeaku. He is a lecturer, Paul University, Oka, a seasoned civil servant for that matter. Welcome, sir, to the studio.
Thank you, the lady, big lady, and big man.
Prof, I want to say welcome.
Yeah.
All right. Now, Prof, growing up, I've always known, I've always come in contact with people whose parents are civil servants. In fact, we had one very close to us then, and there's this saying that civil servants measure yam with ruler, which is goes to show the level of their managerial capabilities in those days. How could you, what's your assessment actually of civil service in the 80s and 70s compared to what is obtainable today?
Well, thank you. Civil servants in the 80s lived a very simple, humble life. Very simple, humble life. And they are not badly self-centered. Sharp practices weren't there that time. And the children of civil servants behaved well. Very simple life. That time, we didn't see much of these children selling vegetables and fruits and so on, wearing dirty dresses. They were always neat. You talked about measuring yam. I think not all civil servants were classified as measuring yam. I think it was the teachers, which I was one of them, that teachers measure yam. Yes.
And they use tape to measure Gary.
No. But the important thing is this. They know how to manage their resources, whether big or small. Their financial capabilities are managed. But these days, a lot of civil servants look beyond what they are. I asked some people some question. What do you think you are? What do you think you are? People will be boasting, I'm a civil servant, I'm a pansec, I'm this and that. And they may be living a life beyond what they are really. And some can go and put themselves into dwarfish condition.
How do you mean dwarfish condition?
Yes, somebody who has some integrity to maintain. And he goes out in the public pretending, not just behaving a wretched man. So the integrity is brought down, down, down. You can see the person walking on the street. You can't give that person some respect.
Okay, you belong to the past, and you also belong to this present dispensation.
Yes.
We are talking about repositioning the civil service. Now, with attention to a particular civil servant who goes home without a salary, or whether the salary he goes home is not good enough to take care of all his financial responsibilities, and then you find him doing one or two other things, because you can go into some offices, you see them selling things or coming to work late or going early in order to do some other menial jobs. Don't you think it's affecting the civil service?
Yes. There was a time in one conference I proposed that every civil servant must have an increase of salary after every 10 years, highest.
After every
10 years. Salary restructuring.
Is that not too large from your...
No, I said then.
Then, okay.
Today, you don't reach 10, because if you reach 10, you are killing the people. But I don't think we have anything like that measured. Nothing like that. So I was thinking, and I'm still thinking that way, that there must be a timeline for increase in salaries. It's not only when civil servants begin to complain and carry placards. Of course, we know by the rule or morality of civil service, they should not protest because they are serving. I said, if civil servants go on streets protesting, that is the extreme torture of the life of civil servants.
Okay, I think we'll get back to you in a short while. Please, the program is still repositioning the civil service for better service delivery. On Good Morning Anambra on the episode. At this point, we'd like to bring you some clips to watch to buttress what actually we are saying here. Take a look.
A lot of people are looking for work out there. Without work, you're looking with you. You are on your way out of service. I can assure you. On your way out of coming to work late. Gotten another job already. You will take this job. Why do you not have it? 6,000. Only give you 2 sheets of paper. Hey, don't go anywhere.
Okay, the little video you've just watched shows that some civil servants in one state in Nigeria, they actually came late for work. The governor took them unawares. And, of course, you saw what happened in that clip. Prof, what's your take on that? Why should a civil servant come late in the first place?
Well,
and also the discipline that followed.
Yes, they don't carry their moral conscience in going for work. If they carry the moral conscience, what will be the result, the consequence of me going late to work every day? Or going very early to work every day? The person can measure the consequences. And when the consequences are measured, individual will know whether he's doing the right thing or not. And as shown here, workers, in fact, the young man who put on suit was lying down, females and so on.
Pleading. Please forgive me.
So,
look at them.
Yes. So, which means, how can't we know that we are serving? And when we serve well, we shall be served well. When we agitate for increase in salary, the government can listen, because government knows that these civil servants are doing their work very well, very effectively.
Prof, I don't know what we could attribute this to, coming late to work, and not just coming late to work. You know that a lot of people don't even go to work from time to time. What can you say is actually the problem here?
Yes. People who go late, especially these days, is because of financial problems.
Because that's what I asked you before.
Yeah,
now.
The economic pressure on people. A man may have about 4 children, and these children must go to school. They must be fed. They must be given medical attention, and so on. They must be clothed, and they must have a house where they will see themselves sheltered. And when the economy is bad, one will seek for other means to augment the ailing situation. And that is the time they may go late. And that is the time they can even move out for another business before going to work. But the worst is the issue of not going to work at all. But they can connive with the heads of units to be signing for them. At the end of the month, they go and take their salary and have a share with the head of the unit, which is bad. Morally, it's bad. Well, even with a law, civil service law, is criminal. So I believe that people who go late is because of economic crunch. People who do not go at all, I cannot say economic crunch. Those people are real corrupt people.
Okay, when we have this negative attitudes towards our work as civil servants, you know, do you think we are justified when we say we are not paid our salaries or we are paid late? You know, are we really justified?
Yes, we are perhaps.
All right, before you really go in there, let's see who is there. Hello, good morning. Hello? All right, go on. Hello? All right, go ahead, sir.
So, if I say they can be justified, but with some measures. Because as an Nago Amarife, which means one who is hungry may lose his conscience. The driving force in every human being. The force that tells individual, this is right, this is wrong. But Nago Amarife.
Okay, let us look at this point in our Igbo palace. I see Ugolo Igbo and Etuya Nebe Nazvisi. Does it in any way help in ensuring that civil service still maintain its dignity? Well, if we go by that term.
If people Ugolo Igbo and Etuya Nazonte. Nazonte.
Okay.
So that he can fall off. When he falls off, the person will start to look for job.
Is it not an act of irresponsibility?
It's irresponsibility. But the former Nigerian or African mind
of civil service, yes.
Of civil service. Achu onye ọcha n'ọlụ owere egbe gbagbuo onwe. Mana achu onye Igbo n'ọlụ owere ọgụ jebe ugbo. Which means the African mind can never tupu uganwa. You see the satisfaction of aiding one's life to progress. But these days, I don't see people going to Olubu again. Some of them will go into robbery. Some start to organize kidnapping gangs. Some will go into, in fact, very many odd things. But in those days, nothing like that. But I still say, people who do not do the right thing as a civil servant is just because their condition of existence is very poor.
From what you watched there, you find out that the government is kind of is insisting on zero tolerance as far as coming to work is concerned. Yes. You know, coming early and the rest of them. Yes. And on the part of the workers, like you said, they have challenges, they have issues. Then how can we really balance these two?
Yes, the government must always see, empty yourself into the other person, how he will be feeling. Or draw that person into your own life and know how he'll be feeling. If I feel the pinch, I suggest I have the pinch. I will know that that person is also suffering the pinch. And with that, government will now make some readjustments.
I think we will still get to that, during our conclusions. But before then, I was privileged to be in one state over the weekend, and I ran into an uncle whose salary have not been paid for 2 years. Yes, for 2 years. And we had interactions. Some of them were saying we don't have a governor as far as we are concerned. Thank God in Anambra State, we're not telling that kind of a story. And the daughter who is supposed to be in secondary school told me that she's into learning how to make dresses, a small girl. And you begin to wonder, what more can you do to an individual, than owing salaries after after work is done, And this is the plight of so many states in Nigeria as we speak. Could you say that this has not really affected the productivity of civil servants in the recent years?
It's not only the productivity.
Let's see who is here. Hello? Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. What's your name?
Please, somebody told me that you people address the issue of paying motorcycles to run in Anambra.
Sorry, you can go to our website, ABS website, and the conversation continues there. Thank you so much. All right, sir.
So you remind me a question.
Yes, the way somebody that has not been paid for 2 years,
yes.
Are you saying it cannot affect the productivity, efficiency of service delivery as civil servants?
It's not just only that, because what it is affecting is external, it's outside the individual. Efficiency is to the public. Productivity is to the public. But the worst is mental torture. Jesus. Mental torture. How can you have somebody, how many years, what of months, not paid? The person will be running mad. He can start selling all his shoes. And when a man who has been putting on suits, shoes, dressing well, begin to sell his dresses, he has gone into mental torture.
In the paper today, we saw a man, a job seeker, who committed suicide because
he couldn't pay hospital
bill.
You see,
something
that's
like that.
mental torture. And this is what is very, very important. The people in the government and whoever must remember that if you remove something that will gladden somebody's heart, you are affecting his mind. And that mind will be affecting his mental activities. And it will finally affect productivity, responsibility, and so on in the society. Then the society becomes a rotten society.
Okay, do you think so far so good? Do we have hope of restoring the dignity of civil service?
I remember the motto of Nsukka: to restore the dignity of man, fight like a lion. That's why we have lion as the symbol of University of Nigeria, Nsukka. And Zik proposed it. If you want to do this, get something, you must fight. So there may be hope. And that hope may come when there will be proper reorientation of values. The leadership, the followership, new orientation. We have a national orientation agency and so on. I don't know what they're doing. I've never had them going to towns talking to people about what is value of life.
Of course, they've started because they had the director here in our program here when he said what they were going to go into universities, primary schools, secondary schools, and in villages to reorientate them on the use of illicit drugs and the rest of them, and cultism. I hope they're really coming up on that.
Yes, let them come. It is very important because many people, many lecturers, many professors go into sharp practices because they want to belong to the society.
All right, we earlier talked about, not paying civil servants and how it really affects the individual and, of course, the government, knowing that the civil service is the engine of the government.
Yes.
Now, what happened, there are some people that actually receive their salaries, but they don't come to work, to do that work by which they were paid. What do you tell such civil servants, and what does it tell on the profession, civil service?
what I will tell the civil servant is to be very careful. Ihe onye mete ka ọ ga-edu. If I continue working well, eventually I will get something, a reward. Immanuel Kant said that if you work duty for duty, you gladden your heart. The society becomes happy. And when you see the society happy, you will be walking on the street with your head high. But you have spoiled that society by not doing what you should do, by not giving the civil servant, by civil servant not acting back to the government. Government, I mean, is not just the governor or the president, but the entire society. So that time, the society will be collapsing or will be growing. It depends on how the civil servant.
Oh, you know, and
in a way of trying to round up because time is no more.
Not really. Sorry, before we round up, you know, I know during analysis this morning there has been, I noticed some gaps, you know, and I was kind of, where did we miss it? You know, going by when the civil servants were really civil servants, and now what actually happened? That could be, you know, somebody might be imagining what went wrong that we see ourselves in this situation as civil servants.
What I think must have been the case is, during those days, civil servants were proud that they are civil servants.
What made them that proud?
Because they dress well, they have their salaries, they train their children, they help train other people's children. I remember that some traders at Onisha used to come to borrow money from
civil servants.
Civil servants, teachers, and so on. I know many of them. I know some who came to borrow from me, a poor teacher like that. But today, you start to beg them because they're now dangling
so
much
is it
money.
possible to reposition the civil service for a better society?
And if possible, in what ways? What
way
ways?
is this? Rehearsing the workers' salaries, 1. Creating an enabling environment, 2. The studio is attractive here. I remember some 2 years ago.
It wasn't like that.
It wasn't like that. There was a time I was talking in the studio. The roof, the ceiling, was, landing on our heads.
You saw rats falling down.
But today, you come
It's
in.
normal like that.
And today, you serve your guests tea and so on. But that time, have you even got some money to buy abacha mmiri? Tapioca, nothing. But if you now gladden these people, you dress well, your workers are happy, then work will be going. Let the government remember where the civil servant is working must be made attractive so that he'll be rushing to the office to enjoy the office. Give air conditioner there. Give time for tea time. I still think about that. Tea time, there'll be a section where the civil servants or the workers can get in, take just a cup of tea.
Tea break.
And then goes back to work. He'll be working very well. But if it's neglected, who is you? Or who are you, You could just go there and work as who are you?
All right, we could go on and on, sir, but at this point, for want of time, we would like to appreciate you so much. Professor Ifeanyi Ezeaku, lecturer at Paul's University here in Oka. Thanks so much, Prof, for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming.
Yes, thank you.
All right, it's been nice having you on the show this morning. We so much thank you. We're going over to the news studios right now to bring you news at 9, after which we have our sports segment. And of course, Good Morning Anambra terminates from there. My name is still Nonya Mwokwe. Let's do it again tomorrow.
We want to thank you so much, and we wish that you enjoyed us, and then we will continue to be with us. Bye for now.